Hello, we're going to draw some pictures today. I've got this sketch page that I'm working on, just this character that I had an idea for, and I worked up. Let me just go through this quick time lapse as I'm talking. So I worked up this concept of this character, and I'm just going through sketching it really quick, just busting out some ideas, and I want to put together uh, a character sheet. So this one page is going to have various views of their face from a front and profile and three-quarter, and also a couple of action poses along with one kind of spot illustration, kind of bringing it all together. So I spent some time sketching it out and just getting the basic ideas on paper first. And then I turned it to this light blue color and set that layer to a multiply opacity. And I'm just going through right now, as you can see, kind of refining those lines to make it cleaner. Um, and I think we'll go through and do a couple more of these um, just to kind of show you my process. So I will rename this here just to keep things clean. This is my sketch layer, and then this one here is my lines. So eventually I'll turn off the sketch layer and we will just have these nice clean lines, and it will just look like a very professional, well-designed uh, character sheet. So that's the idea. And for these for these headshots up here, um, I have these, I think you can see it here on the recording. I actually have a layer. I drew one of the sketches of the character's head, and I blocked in these lines of like important landmarks where the top of the head was, and about where the chin was, and about where the hairline is, where her bangs are, just to kind of block in some of the important landmarks. So as I was doing the different views, I can keep those in the same proportion, right? That's the idea. Um, I don't need those now since we've already got those blocked in. And let's go through and just clean one of these up here just to kind of show you what I do. So I'm on my lines layer, and I'm actually using a different pencil brush this time around just to mix things up. You don't always have to use the same pencils, the same brushes that you're used to. Sometimes it'll spark the imagination if you mix it up. So that's what we're doing today. And I'm still keeping things kind of loose here. I don't want this to be sterile. Um, I want some of those imperfections to show through. And actually, it's a strange thing with the advent of AI tools. Um, there is something about human imperfection, I think, now that people they resonate with. We like to see this is not a perfectly clean computer generated thing. It has mistakes. And I think that's kind of fun. There's something about it. Now, I'm also not, I've been through a lot of technological advances, and this is not really the point of this comment, is not to come down either way on different technologies, but I mean, I have opinions just like everybody else, and I think that tools of any kind have their time and place. But there is something to be said about the human touch. Um, I remember back in the day when animation studios, the cartoons that we saw, they were all made by hand. Um, and it took years to produce these shows. And you would always look forward, as a kid, you were always looking forward to the next full length feature film, animated feature film. And it wasn't a thing that happened every summer. There wasn't a new blockbuster animated film that came out every single year. This was like a special thing when it finally happened. It just took years because that kind of thing, it takes time. And there are imperfections with things like that. They're not so polished. Um, and I think that's kind of special. Like, I love a good computer generated movie. I think the Toy Story movies are so good. Many of them, not all of them. After like five or six, it kind of gets old. I don't know what number they're up to right now. Five or six might be an exaggeration, or it might not. I don't know. I think I lost track after about three. Um, but I remember when those movies first came out, and I was blown away by the technology. Like, just the ability to make something like that is so cool. And I think they did a good job, at least at the time, of retaining the human element in the process. And you can see it in the storytelling and in the character creation and the just the whole, like, the concept art, everything that it takes to bring a project like that to life. You can see it. And I think technology, as it grows and as it advances, there are advantages and disadvantages to all of it. And I think the trick is, how do you retain um, your agency as a creative while utilizing these tools, right? You're not outsourcing all of your creativity. You don't want to do that. How can you use new technology and still retain your creative agency? That's the trick. Um, so, anyway, I wasn't really planning on talking about that, but here we are. Let's do another one of these. Let's just work on this profile. I think profiles are tricky. And I don't know, I'm not entirely sold on this view. I don't know. I might adjust some of her hair as we're going through. I think there's something about these bangs in this view in particular that it just feels a little off. Let me see what I can do about that. And I want these glasses to be a little bit above the ear, just like I have in the other sketches. And I think eventually I'll go back through and add some color to all of this, but for now, we're just blocking in the character. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder sometimes. I don't have an answer to a lot of this stuff, but I am so curious. There have been a lot of technological tools and utilities that have come out over many generations that I am sure people felt extremely strongly about. And that's not to say one way or the other. I think we're still figuring it out with all of this AI stuff. Like, what is a good balance and what pushes that too far? Of course, there's something to be said about how that technology came into existence in the first place. Um, and also, man, I wonder about like things like electricity. If you look at the backstory of um, the large companies that run and manage even just something as basic as electricity in your home, there were moments during the course of all of that that people came along like uh, Nikola Tesla, and they had ideas. Whether or not those ideas would have worked, I think is up to some debate. But he had ideas of making electricity more available and free to the public. And even at that time, the large companies that owned or that ran these utilities to homes, their main concern was how are we going to make a profit if it's free? Like, where do you put the meter if all of this is wireless and free? Um, so, even the idea of electricity, which we all take for granted now, we use it and we don't even think about it. Yeah, you pay for it. That bill is kind of obscured unless you are a parent or an adult taking care of yourself. You don't really even think about it, but you're paying for it. And it's because these companies don't they didn't want to invest the time and the resources into making it more freely available. I just wonder about stuff like that. But um yeah, man, technology. Like even what I'm doing right now, drawing on a screen. There is something about, and I've noticed this myself with client work, different projects that come along. It really depends on what I need to accomplish. Like I've done some storyboards before where for some reason my brain it works differently and I'm able to draw faster or more efficient or get the ideas on paper quicker if I'm using a real physical pencil on a real physical piece of paper. And I don't know why that is. It just it just is. And I found that doing um usually it's doing the thumbnails for the storyboards, or if I'm blocking out a children's book, like I will do small thumbnails, little sketches of every page in that project just to get everything out so I can problem solve on a small scale, just like a couple of inch squares. And once I can work out the major problems at that scale, then I can blow it up to a larger scale. And it's less of a struggle. But those initial sketches I will do on a real physical piece of paper and then scan it in or take a photo on my phone and airdrop that over to the iPad and draw over the top of it. Yeah, there's just something about physical medium. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little sketch and chat session. I think we made some progress on this character here, and eventually I will add some color and we'll see where it goes from there. This is really just for fun for me. It's not for any paid client, um, but it's a nice thing. And every time that I do something like this, like I'm thinking about what I can show to a potential client later on. So I want to polish this up and make sure that it's something that I can put on my website or in my portfolio so that I can show it and show off this skill that I have. Anyway, I hope that was useful for you all. If you have any comments, any ideas about topics that you would like explored, let me know. Let me know what you think about this drawing and how amazing or terrible that it might be and how you could do a better job. Show me in the comments. I would love to see it. Draw your little characters. Explore this idea yourself. The idea of all of these videos is just to inspire creativity, and I hope that's useful for you. And we will catch you in the next one.